Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. We're going to start this morning in Venezuela, where the self-declared interim president, Juan Guaido, has claimed that the old regime is now in its final phase. It follows a day of violence in cities across the country as protesters fought street battles with military forces loyal to Nicolas Maduro. Maduro claimed victory, saying he'd successfully put down a coup attempt, but it's also emerged that he may have been within hours of fleeing the country. Speaking from an undisclosed location at the end of the day, Guaido said the tide was turning against Maduro's regime.
Today, Maduro doesn't have the backing of the armed forces. Today is a historic day for the country, in the beginning of the definitive phase of Operation Freedom to end the usurpation of power. We've seen ththese protests have generated results. They've won recognition from the world and from the parliamentary majority, which is listening to us.
Well, Guaido's comments followed a day of running street battles, including a moment when a military vehicle appeared to deliberately run over some protesters. The following pictures contain some distressing scenes. Video shot in Caracas shows the armoured vehicle mounting the pavement. It appears to directly target the demonstrators. We've frozen the footage at the point where that happens. There's currently no official word on injuries from this specific incident, although some protesters with head and leg wounds were rushed away from the scene. Other images show military forces still loyal to Nicolas Maduro firing on protesters across the country. A number of people were treated after being hit by rubber-coated steel bullets. Amid the violence, other videos showed Guaido alongside people in military uniform that he claimed were soldiers who had switched sides. Guaido was also spotted alongside Leopoldo Lopez, another opposition leader who'd previously been held under house arrest. Well, appearing in a cabinet meeting at the end of the day, Nicolas Maduro denounced the protests as an attempted coup, and he promised to prosecute those involved.
I've spoken with the Attorney General, and he's assigned 3 specialist national prosecutors who will question all those involved and who will be directing the investigations. Criminal accusations will come before the courts for the grave crimes committed against the Constitution, against the rule of law, against peace, for wounding the military and the police.
Well, the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has claimed Nicolas Maduro was preparing to flee Caracas before being told by Moscow to stay put. Pompeo told a meeting of business leaders in Washington that he was counting on them to help rebuild Venezuela.
Thank you very much. We literally had Nicolas Maduro getting prepared to get on this airplane and head out of the country before he stopped really at the direction of the Russians. And I must say, there'll be another sunrise tomorrow. The opportunity for Venezuelan democracy, I am confident, will remain. But please know that you have got a team, not just at the State Department, but in the intelligence community and in the military, who are very focused on protecting the Venezuelan people, restoring their dignity, growing their economy. Once this is over, we will need all of you. There is much work to do. And a team that is very committed to creating democracy here in the Western Hemisphere.
So how are world leaders reacting to Guaido's calls for military defection? Well, Rosie and our Cube team have been taking a look at this.
Well, Nicolas Maduro calls himself the president, and in this photograph he shared on social media 2 days ago, he talks about the undisputed institutional strength of Venezuela. Well, 2 days on, international calls are growing louder for him to be removed. Let's have a look at Venezuela, where it is, and all these neighbouring countries, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil. Well, their leaders have had fairly damning things to say about the president. The government of Ecuador, for example, they renew its firm support to President Juan Guaido during the difficult moments. We promise a transitional exit. We will support all international efforts in this regard. That international voice is getting louder. Let's have a look in Peru. We fully support the interim president and we really support this usurping and dictatorial regime of Maduro. It must come to an end. Colombia have said this. We must reject this dictatorship and the encroachment of this party. We absolutely support Juan Guaido, the self-declared interim president. In Brazil, we see the same. Here, they say, we're closely following the situation. We reaffirm the support for a democratic transition taking place in the country. One now quite lone voice is that of Cuba, someone who's been support of Venezuela for years. They say, no, we stand by the legitimate government of Venezuela that's calmly and courageously facing down this new coup attempt. That is becoming quite a lone voice. Let's look wider to Europe, for example. In Italy, Matteo Salvini, Italy's interior minister, have said Italians have been suffering for years for one of these last communist regimes. We hope for a peaceful solution, and we don't want this basically dictator Maduro who's starving and torturing his own people. Well, that's been echoed, this need for caution, by the UK. Jeremy Hunt has said, we're following events closely. We're clear there must be a peaceful resolution. Anyone in favour of the Maduro regime should see themselves for the shocking humanitarian crisis this president has presided over.